So I think this brings us to the city we'll talk about today, Treme. It's one of the communities that were in the Bloomberg article that we covered. So Treme is, they dubbed it the first African-American community. One thing in my research about it that I found remarkable is that 80% of African-Americans own property
Really?
before the highway came through.
That's amazing.
So that's a lot.
Wow.
And it was, that changed when the highway came through. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Treme was originally similarly to Rondo, it was just like a hotspot for food, culture, music, all of that stuff, all of the above.
Creole food.
Yeah, specifically.
That's where some say jazz was founded. In the New Orleans area.
So much culture.
Yep, home to the. I'm pretty sure it's the National Jazz Museum. And a lot of famous figures called Treme home.
Louis Armstrong too.
Yep.
Louis Armstrong. I think
Homer Plessy.
Homer Plessy.
Right.
That was when Plessy v. Ferguson. We covered that. Which I didn't know. He was from Treme.
Yeah, I didn't know either.
I think he moved there later in his life. I don't think he was from there originally.
But I think that's where the case happened.
Yeah.
So
okay.
That's amazing.
So earlier I talked about a nonprofit out of Treme called the Claiborne Avenue Alliance. So they are advocating to remove the section of I-10 that is in Treme and replace it with the avenue that was once there, which was Claiborne Avenue. And so we're going to show y'all a clip of an interview we did with the co-founder of the Claiborne Avenue Alliance, telling us what Treme was like before the building of I-10.
Yeah. So when you speak of reclaiming the beauty and those beautiful oak trees that line the boulevard, what was Treme and the 7th Ward like before the Claiborne Expressway came through?
Well, Treme, actually there are two sections. So there's what I call the historic core, which is the original Treme neighborhood that was found in the early 1700s. And then there is my part of Treme, which was suburban at the time.
Right.
In the historic core, the buildings are very close together. There's 5 feet between buildings. I live in a huge 2-story house with a very wide lot. So it was really suburbia at its time. But now that's all considered Treme. So it has 2 very distinct sections known for jazz primarily.
Right.
We have a lot of jazz artists who live here. Trombone Shorty is probably the most famous contemporary artist, but one artist that people probably don't associate with New Orleans, and he's before my time, but I've heard of him, is Louis Prima. So back in the day, way back in the Wayback Machine, what I call the suburban part of Treme was primarily Sicilian. And then it eventually changed to Black.
Right.
So my family bought from Sicilians, a Sicilian family, and the Sicilian musicians lived on my side. So Louis Prima lived on my side of Claiborne. And then the Black and Creole primarily, musicians lived on the riverside, what we call. So that's the dynamic of Treme. So there's still a lot of music here. 7th Ward was known more for the craftsmen, the finished carpenters, the bricklayers, all of the trades. When you look at New Orleans architecture and you look at what makes it beautiful, those craftsmen primarily lived in the 7th Ward. So you had the building arts and then you had music. So both neighborhoods collectively fueled the creative class in New Orleans, which has been here since its inception.
Wow. And you mentioned, and by the way, when you say that it was mostly Sicilian,
yes,
we've seen that in other places. We've seen that in Rondo and Detroit, where these BIPOC communities, they used to be like immigrant communities before the Great Migration and all that. So that's awesome. So that was a clip of the Amy Stelly interview, talk about how it was before the highway came through. Just to add on that, there was 120 homes that were there that were just demolished by when the highway came. And Erica, you have a point about like how the demographics changed due to gentrification.
Yeah, so gentrification in Treme, it's just like in Rondo, it's a very real reality. And like, especially since that highway has come through, it's made it especially vulnerable to it. And so I was looking at, just looking at the effects of gentrification in Treme. I was looking at different census data and like the racial demographics of that neighborhood. And so I'm going to be specifically talking about the Black and white population, since that's what makes up most of Treme. So in 2010, the Black population of Treme was about like 90%, and the white population was about 5%. And so move forward only like 10 years into the future, into 2020, now the Black population is about 56% and the white population is about 36%. So that's like a huge decrease in Black population and huge increase in white population.
And, the reason for that is because, after Hurricane Katrina, that community became vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Many people left, didn't return. And, these companies, these short-term rental property owners started buying up all these houses and making it into short-term rentals, which are pretty much like Airbnbs, just to think about it. And it increased like tenfold. It was like 1,500 in 2014.
Wow.
And now it's like 6,000, something like that. And like 400 are in Treme.
Dang.
And it was so bad that the city council of New Orleans just put a cap on it. It's like, nope, no more.
Dang. And just,
no more.
and just think back to when you said before the highway, 80% of the Black residents of Treme owned a home.
Yep.
Like, that's crazy.
It's a lot. It's a lot of change just with the highway and the hurricane.
Right.
Displaced so many people. With that, there's, the Claiborne Avenue Alliance, which advocates for turning the I-10 highway into an avenue that was there before. So it would be a 100-foot median, which will make way for the trees that used to be there. Obviously, it won't be the same, but people will plant trees and have new businesses and all that. And importantly, affordable housing to combat the gentrification that's been happening.
And like, I think too, like, just like thinking about the effects of what that would do, like what would it do to turn part of this interstate into an avenue? So I think that there was like studies shown that like it would only increase like the travel time on the rest of the highway
by 2 minutes.
By 2 to 6 minutes. And like, especially when you think about like what that would be doing for the community of Treme, like that's not a very expensive price to pay at all.
No, I wouldn't think so.
No.
The price tag for Reconnect Rondo is not that much. So thank you for watching our podcast. If you like what you see, give us a like, hit that subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get notified when we put out new podcast episodes.